Hey everyone, welcome to Birds of a Feather. Today we're working on a tooth fairy pillow for your little ones. And I'm starting with this hamster yarn. It's a combination of hemp and cotton. We're going to start by making a slip knot. And here I'm using a 3.5mm crochet hook. Just slip that right on. And we're going to chain 17. 2, 3, 4, 5, 14, 15, 16, and 17. So starting from the second chain from the hook, we're going to increase. So we're going to put 2 single crochets in this stitch. And now we're going to single crochet in the next 14. So 1. Now we've come to the last chain and we're going to single crochet 4 times in this stitch. So that's 1, 2, 3, and 4. As you can see, we're kind of rounding this corner here. Now we're going to continue on the other side of the foundation chain. So on the opposite side, we're going to single crochet in the next 14 stitches. In this last stitch, we're going to increase. So that's 1 and 2. And there's where we're at so far. Now we're working on the opposite side of the foundation chain, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to hide the tail in. So we're going to crochet another 14 along the other side here. And then when we get to the last stitch, we're going to increase 1. So meet me right back here. In the very last stitch here, we're going to increase. So that means we're going to do 2 single crochets, 1 and 2. Now our tail end is hidden and we can just cut that later, but here's where we're at. As you can see, we've crocheted right around the foundation. So in row 2, we're going to increase in the next stitch, and then we're going to single crochet in the next 17 stitches. We're going to repeat that 2 times. So let's just start right here with our increase. And here we go. Another 17 single crochets right along this side. So meet me right back here when we're done. We're going to move on to the next row. Here we are at the end of row 2. Now we're starting row 3. So we're going to increase immediately again into the next stitch. So that's 2 single crochets. We're going to single crochet another 18, and then we're going to repeat the same thing we just did. So we're going to increase and then another 18, and that will complete our 3rd row. At the end of row 3, this is what your work should look like, and just take a moment to count your stitches and ensure that you've got 40 all the way around. So now we're ready to start row 4, and again we're going to start with an increase in the very next stitch. So that's 2 double crochets in that 1 stitch. Then we're going to continue to crochet 19 more single crochets, and we're going to repeat that until we're back to the beginning again, and that will complete the next row. So meet me back here and we're ready to start row 5. At the end of row 4, our work will look like this. And for the next row, we're just going to continue single crochet all the way around with no increases. And you should have 42 stitches there. So pause the video and meet me right back here for the next row. Here's row 5 done. Now we're ready to start row 6. So we're going to single crochet in the next 2 stitches. So here's 1 and 2. Now what we're going to do is we're going to increase and then we're going to single crochet in the next 19 stitches. And we're going to repeat that twice. So pause the video and meet me right back here for the next row. Here we are at the end of the 6th row, and as you can see, it's starting to shape up. So what we're going to do is single crochet around the perimeter, and we're going to have 44 stitches. So put your video on pause, catch up with me, and meet me right back here for the next row. After row 7, the work is going to start to turn in on itself. So what you want to do is just pop it so that the right side is now out. As you can see, we've got our tail end on the inside here. And now we're going to continue with our 8th row. So for the 8th row, we're going to single crochet in the next stitch. Then we're going to increase. So single crochet twice in the following stitch. Now we're going to single crochet in the next 3 stitches. So 1, 2, and 3. Then we're going to increase again, so another 2 in the following stitch. Now we're going to single crochet in the next 17 stitches. (16) and 17. Once that's complete, we're going to increase again, so 2 single crochets in the following stitch. Then we're going to single crochet in the next 3 stitches, so 1, 2, and 3. Now another increase, so 2 stitches in that 1 stitch there. Then we're going to single crochet in the next 16 stitches. So 1, 2, and 16 completes row 8. For row 9, we're going to single crochet around the perimeter, and we'll have 48 stitches. So I'll just start you off here, then I'm going to pause the camera and you can meet me right back here. So here we are at the end of row 9, and for row 10 we're going to single crochet in the next 11 stitches, and then we're going to increase, and we're going to repeat that for a total of 4 times. So pause your video, catch up to me, and meet me right back here. And on the next row, we're going to be starting for the pocket. Now we're ready to start the pocket opening. So we're going to single crochet 10. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we've crocheted 12. Now we're going to chain 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we've got our chain 10. Now we're going to skip 10 stitches, and then we're going to come over to where I have this marker here, and we're going to continue single crocheting. So in the 11th stitch, a single crochet. Now we're going to crochet for another 29 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to leave you there, so pause the video and meet me right back here after you've completed 30 stitches in total, and we're going to continue with the next row. After completing row 11 and putting in this pocket opening, you'll have 52 stitches. Now we're ready to start row 12. Single crochet in the next 12 stitches and then increase. So this is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So that brings us to the chain. So in the next stitch, we're going to increase. So we're going to do 2 single crochets. That's 1 and 2. Now we're going to continue on with another 12 single crochets right across the chain, and at the end of that we're going to increase again. So we're going to do that repeat for a total of 4 times around the row. So pause the video and meet me right back here for the next row. Here we are at the end of row 12, and for rows 13 through 18 we're going to single crochet around the perimeter, and we'll have a total of 56 stitches. So I'm going to leave you here. I'm going to pause the camera, meet me right back here, and we'll continue on. I've just completed row 18 and now we're starting row 19. So let's just turn this around. Now we're going to single crochet in the next 7 stitches, and then we're going to decrease. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And the way I decrease is to go into the front loop of the next 2 stitches, and then I complete the single crochet. So there's my decrease. I'm going to repeat that 6 times in total, and then at the end I'm going to single crochet in the last 2 stitches. So catch up to me and meet me right back here for the next row. Row 19 is now complete, and we're going to start on row 20, and for this round we're going to single crochet in every stitch, and you will have 50 stitches. So pause your video and meet me right back here. Now we're on row 21, and we're going to single crochet in the next 6 stitches. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6. As I showed you before, we're going to decrease the next stitch by going into the front loops of the next 2 stitches. And once we've got those, we're just going to complete the single crochet. Now we're going to single crochet another 23 and again do a decrease. So that's 1, 2, 22, and 23. Then once again, we're going to decrease by going through the front loops of the next 2 stitches. Now we're going to single crochet the next 17 stitches, and we're going to complete this row. So that's 2, 3. I'm going to stop right here so you can pause the video and catch up to me. And I'm just going to continue to get this knot out, and I'll see you right back here. So here we are, complete row 21. So for row 22, we're going to single crochet in the next 10 stitches and decrease. We're going to do that a total of 4 times. So once again, I'm going to pause the camera here and let you catch up to me, and we'll be right back for the next row. We've just finished row 22 and we're about to start row 23, and it's just essentially single crochet in the next 44 stitches. So pause your video and meet me right back here. We've just finished row 23 and we're about to start row 24, and for that row we're going to single crochet in the next 9 stitches, and then we're going to do a decrease. We're going to repeat that 4 times. At the end of this row you'll have 40 stitches, and then we're going to pause there and then come right back to create the 2 legs. At this point we're getting ready to start the legs, and the legs consist of 12 stitches. So what I've done is I've counted 12 stitches and I've placed a marker here. There are 8 stitches between each leg, then another 12 stitches, and then 8 stitches on the other side. So I've just placed some scraps of yarn here so I can keep track of where those marks are. Going to insert my hook back into the work. Then I'm going to crochet over 12 stitches. So that's 1, and I'm going to place my marker there, and that's just so I know where the leg is connecting on the other side. So let's just place our marker. Okay, so that's marked. So that was our first stitch. This is going to be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So at this point we're going to connect up right through here. Now we're connected, and we're going to continue in rounds all the way around to create the leg. So for rows 2 through 5, we're going to single crochet all 12 stitches, and then on row 6, we're going to decrease, and we're going to repeat that 6 times. Then we're going to fasten off the yarn and leave our tail. So I'm going to go ahead and crochet those rounds, and I'll meet you back here to show you how to end this. I'm just back to show you how to complete the 5th row of the leg here. So you're just going to go round. This is the first stitch. This will be 2, 3, 4. When you get to the 4th stitch, just reposition and then continue on with the 5th. And here's 6, 7, and 8. After the 8th stitch, you're going to reposition once again and complete the next 4 until you've got 12. 9, 10. Whoops, I split my yarn there. So this will be 10, 11, and 12. Once you finish the 5th row, what you're going to do is you're going to decrease 6 times. So to decrease, insert in the front loop of the next 2 stitches. This could be a little bit tricky because it's tight here. And here's one of our decreases. So another 5 to go, and we'll be done this leg. After the decreases, at this point the leg is done, and now we can fasten off the yarn, leaving a long tail. So I'm just going to cut it. And then what we're going to do is we're going to weave it around just the front loops of these stitches and tighten. But for now, I'm going to knot it and fasten it off. And I don't have my darning needle here, so I'm going to go grab that. So with the darning needle, just insert through the front loops of the 6 stitches here. If you can't quite get all the way around, just pull through the first 3. And then just continue with the next 3. Pull it right through. I'm going to insert down the middle of this. And I'm going to bring it through on the wrong side. And just grab it. And then pull it tight to close. There we go. So on the inside of this, I'm going to tie it off and then hide the end inside. So what we're going to do is we're going to crochet the other side in exactly the same way we did this side. Now it's time to crochet our pocket. So I've just got a slip stitch here. I'm just going to bring it through. And we're going to single crochet all the way across these 10 stitches. Once you're at the end, chain 1, turn the work, and continue back. For the eyes, we're going to start with this magic chain. So we're going to slip stitch. Try not to break your yarn here. Then we're going to do 6 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now we're going to pull that tight to close that up. Now we're going to do 2 single crochets in the next 3 stitches, and we're going to hide our tail as we go. So here's 1, and 2 in that same stitch. You're not going to be able to see this because it's so dark. Here's the next stitch. So we're doing another 2 in there. That's 1 and 2. And here's our 3rd stitch. So here's our first single crochet and our second one. But before we complete this, we're going to change to the eye color. So here's our 2 stitches on the hook. And now we're going to introduce the green, and we're going to pull that through. And then tighten up the black. Now we're going to do the same thing, and we're going to do 2 double crochets in the next 3 stitches. So let's just hide that tail. So that's 1 and 2 in the same stitch. And then another 2 in the next stitch. And then our final 2. Now the next stitch, we're going to drop the green and we're going to change back to the black. And we're going to do a single crochet in the next stitch. And then for the next 5 stitches, we're going to slip stitch. So that's 1, 2, and do this fairly loosely. You don't want it puckering. 3, 4, and 5. So here's where we're at so far. Now with some white yarn, we're going to slip to the next stitch. So insert your needle where you see the green, and then bring the white through and slip it right through, like that. Now we're going to continue slip stitching with the white. So there's 1, 2. Now we're going to cut the white tail, leaving it quite long. And then we're going to pull this yarn through. Like so. Now we're going to bring back our darning needle. We're going to thread it onto the end of the white. So with the needle threaded with the white, we're going to insert it through this black stitch here. And then we're going to come back through the white, just right down the middle, and pull that through. And then just tighten that up. Now what we're going to do is the highlight, so we're going to come up. Let's just poke down in there. That's where we're going. We're just going to come up through the black. And as you can see, it comes right across. And you're going to come down right beside it. And there's your highlight. And you can do that twice if you like. So come back up. And back down again. And there's one eye done. So we're going to complete the second one exactly like this, and of course weave in all our tail ends here and then cut those off. If you like, you can add some eyelashes to the outer eye here. So I'm just going to insert a small hook into this first black stitch. I folded over just a scrap of black. Going to pull it through. Okay, so pull up your loop, then bring both strands over the hook and pull it through that loop. And then tighten that up. Then you can do another one right beside it, and then you can just cut it off to whatever length you like. I've got the other eye done here, and I've just trimmed off the eyelashes. And I'm going to fasten it onto the exterior once the other one is done. So I'll just position them on, and then I'm going to take some of my background color yarn and I'm going to stitch it around the edge. Once both black strands are on, I like to split them. So I'm just going to take the hook and get in between and just pull through so that I've got these individual threads. Then once they're split, I'm just going to take a pair of scissors and trim them down. And there it is. Now it's ready to be attached. For the eye, I'm just going to eyeball the position, and I'm using the white tail just to pop it through, just to hold it temporarily. I am going to secure it properly once the rest of the work is done. So I'm just pulling this through to the back. Now, as you can see, we've started the pocket here, and I just connected my yarn to the opening that we had here on the upper part, and I've crocheted 23 rows of single crochet. When we come back, I'm going to show you how we're going to fold that up and finish that off. But for now, I'm pulling through my white yarn. So I'm just going to go through one layer and bring it up, bring that thread through. And so this is just temporary. I'm just going to put a loose knot in there just to hold it in place. Now I can just hide that tail end inside the pocket. And now we can finish off our pocket. So here's the pocket. We've single crocheted 23 rows after reattaching the yarn to the upper part of the opening. And here you can see we still have the lower part, and we still have to connect that. But before we do that, we're just going to fold this in half. And I still have my yarn attached because I'm going to complete that later. So on my needle here, I have the same yarn, and I'm just going to sew the sides of the pockets closed. And this doesn't have to be fancy because it's not going to be seen. I'm just going to whip stitch it. And just go in and out all along the seam until you reach the end. Then you can tie it off and hide the ends. As you can see, it's just going to hold it closed. And once you reach the end, you can just knot it. And then we're just going to hide the end inside. Bring it through. And then you can just weave your end into the stitches here to hide it, and then we're going to cut it off. Now, if you like, it's not overly important for the pocket, but you can hide your end in one direction and then come back in the other direction and just weave through that way. And now you're ready to cut your hidden end here. So go ahead and do the same thing with this other side, and then when we're back, we're going to complete the pocket. With the pocket stitched up, now we can actually pop it down into this hole. So just bring it to the inside, as so that it's nice and hidden. Then we're going to pick up our crochet hook and put it back onto that loop. Now we're just going to go ahead and single crochet all the way across, picking up stitch for stitch. So we've got 10 stitches here. So that's our first single crochet. And here's our second. And we're just going to continue on in that manner until we come to the end. Then we're going to tie off and hide our ends. We're now on the last stitch. I'm just going to pull this through and complete the last single crochet. As you can see, we've got 10, so that's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and we are ready to cut this and then hide the tail. So we're just going to pull this right through, and then we're going to take our darning needle and just thread that right onto the end. And then we can come right down into the corner here. And then we'll knot it on the inside and hide the end. So we just completed fastening the lower part of the pocket, and now as you can see, it's fully functional and it's hidden right in the center here. So you'll be able to take your bill and pop it into the pocket here, and there you go. I've positioned the eyes and I've got them pinned on with some T-pins here just to hold them in place, and I've got some more of my background yarn, the yarn that I used for the tooth, on my darning needle here. I'm just going to come up through the back. Doesn't really matter where you start. I'm just going to poke through right underneath where I've got the eye positioned. And I'm just going to catch in the threads on the back. So I'm just going to go around catching threads and just weaving in and out . So I'm catching the layers that are underneath, so I'm not going to catch the white because I don't want that to show. So I'm going to come along and catch strands of the green, and then I'm also going to do the same with the black. There's like layers back here that you can catch. So pick up a strand of the body, come through the layer of green, and then just tighten up your stitches as you go. So you're just going to sort of whip stitch around here. Pick up a layer of the body, and once again, a strand of the green. And you'll continue around, and when you're done, you're going to come through again on the inside, knot, and then just cut off your yarn. So I'll be right back once that's done to show you. To create the crown, I've chained 20, and I'm just going to loosen this off. And then I'm going to come over to the other end and insert my hook back through this first chain. Now you don't want to twist anything, so just make sure everything's going in the same direction. Then I'm just going to bring that loop through. Now I'm going to single crochet around, and I'm going to bring my hook through the bottom of the chain here and then do the first single crochet. And I'm going to continue coming through the bottom of that loop, bottom of the chain, and we're going to have 20 single crochets to start. So I'm going to pause here, I'm going to let you catch up to me, and then we'll be back for the next step. Be sure to count that you've got 20 stitches, and when you do, we're going to go around once again with single crochet, but this time we're going to go through both loops. Now you notice that when you do end this, it's going to look a little bit wonky, but as you do this next row, it's going to look perfectly fine. And one last stitch makes 20. Now we're going to be working over 4 stitches. It's going to be a 4-stitch repetition. So we're going to skip this first stitch, and we're going to do a double crochet into the next stitch. We're actually doing 3 double crochets in that one stitch. So here's 1, 2, and 3. Now we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. And then we're going back into that first stitch and we're going to slip stitch. Just bring it right through. Now we're going to do another 3 double crochets in that same stitch that we just worked in. So here's 1, 2, oops, got to get more yarn. So this is 2, and here's the third one. Now we're going to skip the next stitch and we're going to slip to the stitch right after. And this completes our 4-stitch repetition. You can see you've got that triangular shape here, got a little nub at the top, and we're going to repeat that. After completing the last double crochet of the crown, we've got 5 points. We're going to skip the stitch and slip stitch to the next one. So at this point we can cut our yarn. I'm going to pull that through, and we're going to get our darning needle and thread this on. And now we're just going to come through the next stitch here to complete that. And then through the back we're going to weave in our end. So we're just going to complete by going through the back of these stitches, just for a few, and then we can turn around and come back the other way. And then we can cut that tail. And then once all these loose ends are tied in, and our little tooth is stuffed, it's just going to sit on the head like so. With our character done, it's now time to stuff. We're going to be starting with the legs and then work our way back. So just take some of the fiber fill here, break it into pieces, and then just get right into the leg here and stuff. Before we get too far along with stuffing, we're going to stop at the legs, and now we're going to make a cord so that we can hang it in the middle and put it over a door. So let's set this aside. And I've got the same yarn here. I've got my slip knot, and we're just going to tighten it against the hook. Let's just get some yarn. So we're going to chain 2. 1, 2, and then we're going to go back into that first stitch. We're going to single crochet. So now we're going to turn the work to the side, and we've got this sort of horizontal or vertical loop right here in the side. So we're going to yarn over, pull through that loop, yarn over, and pull through 2 loops. Then we're going to turn the work again to the side and locate those 2 vertical loops. Yarn over, pull through the loop, yarn over, and then pull through the 2 loops. Now once again, turn the work to the side, locate those 2 vertical bars, yarn over, pull through your loop. Try not to split your yarn, so I'm just going to back this off. Okay, so that's better. Now you've got 2 loops, and yarn over and pull through the last 2 loops. Now you're going to continue turning your work and locating those 2 vertical bars. Once we've completed about 5 stitches here, we're going to go back to just chaining. 7, 8, 9, 10, 29, 30. So you want to do enough that it's going to fit over a doorknob, so you might even want to go to 40. You really have to sort of gauge the fit of your own particular hardware. So I'm going to start with 30. Then we're going to come back to the beginning and insert our hook through that first chain. Then yarn over and pull through both loops. Now they're connected. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to single crochet once again around the entire perimeter. Once you've single crocheted and you're back to the beginning, we're just going to slip stitch into the first stitch here, and that's going to complete our cord. Now we can fasten off and hide the ends. The cord is now finished, and we're going to attach it to the middle of the head. So with the tail end of the yarn, just going to come right under, come through the cord, and just come back under those stitches again. And just keep coming back through until it's well secured onto the head. I should have really cut a longer tail. When it's done, just come down through the middle here, knot it, and then cut it. I'm going to actually turn this inside out so I can get to it, but it's easier for me to do this off camera. So when that's done, we're going to continue with stuffing. Now we're ready to stuff, and we're going to hold the pocket to the back as we stuff up towards the head. And that's so the pocket lies flat against the back here, and you can insert your coinage or bills. And then just make sure that you're getting into every nook and cranny here. Once that's done, we're going to seal up the opening here and pop on the crown. I fashioned a little bit of a mouth and nose with some pink. Now we're ready to close her up. So we're just going to come through and we're going to come down and around. And tighten that up as we go. And at the top again, I'm going to come in and out. And tighten that up. Try not to catch the stuffing as you go. You want to keep that inside. Just keep going back and forth in this manner until it's all closed up. It's going to get a little bit tight at the end. Okay. So I'm going to leave you with that. You can't really see where the seam is. And I'm just weaving in through the back, just coming in through the stitches and then out further along, just to hide that tail. We started over here, and we're going to end here and just snip it off. And as you can see, we've got our pocket here. Let's just test it out. I don't know what the going rate is for the Tooth Fairy these days, but let's try a 20. And there you go. Let's hang her up and see how she looks. For more great patterns, visit our Ribbler shop. 100% of proceeds benefit Alzheimer's, so come check us out on Ribbler today. There you'll find integrated e-patterns with video tutorials every stitch and step of the way.